Hey guys, I'm Chris Hepburn. I'm with OnlySP, and I'm here at EGLX with Justin.
Hey.
The creative director of Glo Phlox, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So your game, watching it and playing it, it looked to be pretty heavily inspired by like Metroidvania, as you were saying.
Yeah.
And games like Titan Souls.
Yeah, for sure.
So were those like your main inspirations, or like how did you come to this idea of creating this game?
So visually, our main inspiration is Hyper Light Drifter. Just the art style that my artist, Ed Brazil, is really into it. But our gameplay, we really like these bullet hell style games, and recently Enter the Gungeon came out, but that was kind of after we started the game, but it has these like crazy bullet hell fights. And we wanted to have that in boss fights, but then we wanted the designed, like, created world of a Metroidvania, because we really like a designed world. Like Hollow Knight is really big on that. Like everyone's like, I love Hollow Knight because the designed world feels like, you know, it's more fun to explore than like a randomly generated one or something like that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so we really want to hit that like designed world of a Metroidvania with like the powers and the backtracking, but have like that hard kind of gameplay that you get from like Titan Souls or like Enter the Gungeon, like the dodge rolling, the screen full of bullets and things like that.
Awesome. The one demo you did bring was like the tutorial and everything, and you had a boss in there. You started off like teleporting around, throwing out homing things, and it turned into this bullet hell monster.
Yeah.
So that draws a big parallel to the game Furi. Was that an inspiration also?
So Furi also came out after the game came out, and when the Furi came out, I was like, oh my god, that looks like what we're trying to make, but 3D. Furi is an amazing game. I've definitely have gone back and looked at some of the bosses of Furi, and I was like, thinking about it. But anyway, so. But yeah, definitely, Furi isn't an inspiration. I think Furi has taken inspiration from the same things that we're taking inspiration from.
Okay. How did you come up with your main character, Cordette?
Yeah, so, well, her name, first of all, is, I believe, Latin for ripple, or a small ripple. As far as her character design, that was designed by the artist. I didn't have any part in that. Originally, she started out as just like this girl with black hair and like this dress, and like just a red dress. And it was just like super basic because we were just like getting the mechanics good, and I just wanted like a sprite. And then we wanted this idea of like a crossbow, because we really wanted to do a shooting game. We didn't want to do guns, and we didn't want to do like a bow. So we went on a crossbow, I guess.
Okay.
And then she went through, I believe, like 3 or 4 iterations to get her to like where she is now with like the purple accents and like the white hair. So just iteration, and the main reason her hair is white is so you always know where she is on screen, which is like important in a bullet hell. You know where your character is.
Yeah, especially when everything starts getting clear with all these different colors and stuff. You got to be able to know your character.
And white is our like our color for standing out, because our backgrounds are a little darker. So we have like a white bird that follows you because we want you to pay attention to that. Our UI is white, and then her hair is white. So those are the things to pay attention to. A lot of thought has gone into these things.
That's good. That's good. Awesome. So I also noticed that Cordette is an elf. So did was that like something you came up with right away, or did that come from like the setting, or how did each other influence one another?
Yeah, so that came later as well. So the setting is kind of like this weird like sci-fi fantasy twist thing. So you're like a druidic elf from like this temple, and like so you're out in like the forest, and like there's not really much technology there. So Cordette doesn't have any technology, and all the powers you get are kind of like these druidic like flower-based abilities, and you get them from like these massive flowers. The game is called Phlox because Phlox is a 5-sided. It's a flower with 5 petals. So we have a theme of 5. Like there's 5 powers, there's 5 major areas, etc. So but then there are like there's the sci-fi elements like those crates or like the puzzles to complete circuits. Those are like kind of this is like old civilization that was like more advanced. So you're kind of finding their things. And then we have like a steampunk factory. We have like a swamp that's also kind of whatever. We have like a village that's like a little more. So we're just kind of exploring like this kind of hybrid sci-fi fantasy and kind of just hitting everything. So she's an elf. We have like an imp girl with like hooves and horns that you meet later in the game. And we have like a couple other characters. None of the characters are shown in the demo, but we have like a full cast of, I believe, 9 characters that you meet throughout your journey.
Okay, now do any of those become playable throughout the game?
No, none of them become playable. One of them could become playable as DLC maybe. You like help. She's kind of on her own journey, like alongside you, and some of the game you kind of play with her, like together. Like she's kind of like a uncontrolled like co-op buddy for like some of these sections. So I could definitely see DLC where we come out where you can play as her because she's got like slightly different abilities that she does in her fights.
Now, speaking of DLC, if you really like the game, show them support, let them know, because that's the best way to get DLC to come out.
And if right now the game's on Steam to be wishlisted, so if you wishlisted it, that helps us a lot, helps us gauge interest. And
so you were talking about different powers that you get to get, so can you speak on some of those powers?
I can tell you all of them if you want. So we have the first one you get is the dash. It has a special name that I can't remember right now. not important. So I just remember all the internal names. Like we come with all these other names for like marketing and like keep the game consistent, but internally, like I'm used to calling it certain things. Okay. So anyway, so we have the dash, we have climbing. So there's certain areas where you can climb, and once you get that ability, there's an ability to, it's like recall, so you set your position and then you go do some stuff, and then if you press it again, you'll teleport back to the initial position. So that's using like puzzle solving and also some combat later as well.
Okay.
There is the ability to shrink. So if you ever played Minish Cap, Legend of Zelda Minish Cap.
No.
So
I've heard of it, though.
in those games, you shrink down and then you join like there's like villages, little people, or like it's more like a flavor thing. Like it functionally doesn't add too much, but you like basically shrink down to be like the size of a thimble, and then you can go into like different areas that are like really small. So that's the fourth power, and then the fifth power is there are rooms that are like completely pitch black, and so you glow in those rooms so you can see.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because we have like a full dynamic lighting system.
Oh, so. That's awesome. You were mentioning earlier that Cordette is followed by a white bird.
Yeah.
Can you speak onto like what the function of that bird is? Or
yeah. So story-wise, every druid has an animal kind of like ghostly companion, and Cordette's is this white bird. It's kind of like a ghostly white bird. Mechanically, the bird is kind of your companion, so he'll kind of lead you if you get stuck. He will like let you know what you can interact with and draw your attention to certain things. So in the demo, for example, there's the flower where you get your dash power. He'll go perch on that flower, and if you take too long, he'll start cawing to like get your attention. Most people figure it out right away, but all things you can interact with, he'll do that. So he's just kind of like your guide. He'll help you through it, and he also kind of just makes you feel a little safer because it is like
a little buddy on a journey.
Yeah. You're just kind of like thrown into the world, and like you need a friend. You know?
Yeah,
everyone needs a friend.
That's cool. It's like a little subtle hint mechanism without being like, hey, here it is.
Exactly. It's heavily inspired by the dog in Fable 2. I don't know if you play that game, but you have a dog with you the whole time.
Okay.
They like took away the minimap from Fable 1 and Fable 2. They're like, you have a dog now. It's your companion. It tells you where to go. It helps you. And I was like, that's a great idea. We're gonna have a bird.
Nice. Nice. So what was the inspiration for the boss in the tutorial? Because he's kind of like this werewolf kind of thingy.
Yeah, so I don't know if I can talk too much about him because he's spoiler. So when you kill him, when you beat him, he doesn't actually die. He like, I don't know if you noticed, he like slams his staff on the ground and it disappears in a puff of smoke because he's like a reoccurring kind of boss, like kind of villain. So I can't speak too much to his like story and things like that, but he is like, he's a very intrinsic to the overarching story.
Now, about story, what can you tell us about the story of the game and like the setting? Like, what is her journey?
So, her story is that she wants to leave her temple because she wants to become like more independent. Like, she doesn't want to like watch over the temple. She doesn't want to be trapped there. So she leaves. And as she leaves, she gets attacked by this wolf. And this wolf basically does something to take her memories. And so she wakes up without any of her abilities or any of her memories, any of her druidic abilities. So you have to kind of, so she ends up going on this like kind of this sort of rite of passage again to regain her druidic abilities that she's already done and kind of regain her memories along with them. And then you find out kind of the wolf's motivation and like what he was doing to you, and it all ties back to the temple and ultimately protecting it at the end, and her kind of going through this personal journey that like starts kind of like with this revenge against the wolf for a reason she's not sure, and kind of ends with her like figuring out like her place in the world.
Okay. Question, because she does kind of have like this red purplish cloak and you got the wolf, was Little Red Riding Hood in there? Was like that an inspiration?
I'm sure subconsciously it was. I'm not sure. Maybe.
Because that's like a really cool little parallel right there.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know because I didn't design them visually, but honestly, I'm sure if I asked him, he would say yes, because he is all about adding little things like that, like little like nods to things. Like he's super into that. So I would not be like surprised if like that's a thing, but I just never even realized it, and he never told me. Totally can buy that.
Okay, so that's a cool aspect of the game, is like going through and trying to find all these little references and nods to old school games and folklore.
Old school games and like even just like Latin languages, like the fact that Cordette means a small ripple. I actually learned that today.
Oh really?
He came up with that, and I was like, okay, Cordette, whatever. But then he's like, yeah, and I was like, oh, that's really smart, like because he puts a lot of thought into like the artistic style and the writing and the story.
Okay. Development is a long process. Yeah, so what are some like funny development stories you could tell me, especially because you have a team that's kind of spread out?
Yeah, we do. Total, there's mainly the two of us, and then we have a third composer who is in Seattle, I believe.
Okay.
And then we have like 6 or 7 other environmental people we've contracted out to make environmental art. As far as development stories, most of it's just like, because I've been friends with the other guy for 15 plus years.
Oh damn.
So most of the funny stories are just like him doing something dumb and me telling him to fix it, or me doing something dumb and he told me to fix it. I can't think of anything off the top of my head Although there is like a really funny bug in the game where like there are these frog enemies in the next area and they jump at you, but if you shoot them right when they do their power for the jump, they like fly across the screen away from you, but then they jump to where they were gonna go.
Oh, that's funny.
So like if they were gonna jump like right next to you, they'll fly away and then like come where it scares the crap out of people, and it's really funny. But I gotta fix that bug still. Anyway, so
maybe you should turn that into like a different enemy.
Maybe, yeah.
Just like a little creepy thing in a cave or something.
And just like flies back at you.
Yeah.
But yeah, development is just like, it's just a slow process. We were mostly doing it as like a hobbyist thing for like the first kind of year or two, and it's kind of in the recent like 6 to 8 months we've kind of gone more into it. Like, no, we're gonna put like some money, we're gonna put some time, we're gonna hire some people to get this out there, because it's starting to get promising. Like, we iterated on it so much. Like the original game we started with is not even close to what we have now.
That's usually how development goes.
Yeah, in a good way though. Yeah, 100% in a good way.
So how long are you expecting this game to be? Like, how many hours to like complete?
Yeah, so currently about half the areas are done, like as in you can play through them. They're not like fully polished or whatever, but internally they're done. And the game is about 3 or 4 hours right now.
Okay.
So I'm assuming it'll be 6 to 8, and then if you want to, because it is a Metroidvania, there's a whole bunch of extra like ammo like hidden and whatever. Okay. So I'm assuming like if you rush through the story, it'll be 6 to 8, and then if you collect every little ammo and health upgrade, it should be about 10 or maybe even 12. It's kind of hard to say right now, though.
That's a good length, though. I kind of like that length when you get to explore and learn more about the world.
Yeah. There's also 5 optional bosses, so like if you completely skip those, you're probably looking closer to 6. If you do them all, because they're also going to be way harder because they're optional, you're probably looking closer to 10. So it's as much as you want to get out of it. Content-wise, if you do everything, I'm thinking 12 plus hours.
Okay. So with doing all those optional bosses, is there a guarantee of like some special loot or skins or something?
Ooh, that'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
We do have like there's a lot of loot for like the power-ups. Like there's ammo upgrades and health upgrades, and it's a Metroidvania. So there's tons of like things to find that you want to find, and you're usually heavily rewarded from those for killing. Like if you kill a normal boss, you might get like 1 health upgrade. Where if you kill like an optional boss, you might get like 2 health upgrades and like 1 of each ammo type upgrade or something like that.
That's cool.
So you're heavily rewarded for it. Skins are an interesting idea though. I like in the playable characters, interesting idea. That's like DLC stuff, I think.
Yeah. So I don't want to take up too much more of your time.
Fair.
And we are at EGLX, and you got a lot of people coming by. And so what is kind of the fanfare of your game so far at the show? I know it's pretty early, we're only like morning of the second day, but how is it looking out so far?
So far it's looking really good. Like there are a couple of people who aren't so into it, but they're not our target. They're like, some 40-year-old guy comes on and he dies once and he's like, I'm done. It's like, that's fair. Yeah. But, like there's people who come in and they will not put it down. Like they will die on the boss like 3, 4, or 5 times, but they'll just like, no, I'm not moving from this spot.
My cameraman's just sitting there going, me.
Oh yeah.
Me and him, like we spent like what, 15 minutes trying to get that boss.
And those people are just like, I will not move from this spot until I beat this boss. And, like, I had a 10-year-old kid literally spent 45 minutes yesterday. He's like, no, I'm beating this boss. I'm like, all right, little man, you go for it.
No, that's really cool that you're getting this kind of engagement this early on.
And we even had a guy go away and he loved the character design so much he went around, he drew his own like sketch of the character and came back and got my artist to sign it, and like that reception was like huge, because this is actually our first time showing this game publicly at all. And so seeing that these people, like my target audience, like exists and that they really like the game, and some people are just they're so into it and they're like tweeting about it, and it's just it's what drives me. I'm in this for passion. So
that's awesome. So I know it's coming out to Steam, but are you looking to maybe bring it to other consoles later on?
Yeah, 100%. So we're going to Steam right now because it's the easiest thing for us to get to at this point. We're a pretty small team, but I think the game would be perfect on Switch. I think it would go great. We're playing on an Xbox controller now. I think it feels really good on an Xbox controller, PS4 controller just as well. So I'd love to get to other consoles. So we're working on it.
Okay, that's good. I hope at least with the Steam success, you're able to bring it to other consoles.
If the Steam is successful, it'll 100% come to every other console. I can guarantee that.
That's awesome.
Guarantee that.
Awesome. And that reminds me, because it is on Steam, you did say earlier that we can wish list it, right?
Yes. So if you go to the Steam page right now, if you type Glo Phlox in, it should pop up. GLO space PHLOX, and you have to hit enter because the O has like 2 little dots on it. So it show up in the autocomplete, but if you hit enter, it will show up.
Good to know.
Or you can also go to tinyurl.com/glowphlox, or you can go to glowphlox.com and it's linked there.
Okay.
And if you wishlist it, then that would help us a lot just to get it out there and hopefully bring it to other consoles and stuff.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for this.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Thank you.